Good morning. Today's date is August 18th, 2025. Time is 5:28 a.m. Now, I wanted to put forth this video because I wanted to talk about Uber Black, specifically in the Washington, D.C. area. I gave you the dates, so this way you know that it's current information and the things that I had to go through in order for me to sign up with Uber Black. Now, and there's another viable alternative, which I'm going to explain to you in a minute, so just kind of bear with me. Now, as far as Uber Black is concerned, to understand Uber is to understand how Uber actually first developed. Now, I own a transportation company. I've had a transportation company for about 25 years now. And right around, I'd say, and I'm sort of guessing, about 10 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, we got wind of this company called Uber that was allowing black car services, limousine services specifically, an opportunity to do some extra work. Pretty much, they would have their own business that they were doing, and if they wanted something to do, sort of to fill the gaps, Uber would allow their drivers to get onto an application and be able to drive. Now, the money would go to the company, not to the individual, and then the company would pay the drivers like they do for everything else. So that's how Uber first started. Now, the requirements for that were, number one, you had to have commercial insurance. Number two, you had to be a registered and a licensed company. Like, let's go and take Virginia, for instance. I don't know what the other regulations are in regards to the other and what they call it in the other states, but I'm talking about the tri-state area dealing with, well, not all of them are states. DC's not a state, but DC, Maryland, and Virginia. Now, I live in Virginia, so I have to have what's called an operating authority from the state of Virginia in order for me to transport customers. And that's been the thing with Virginia. It's a pretty long process you have to go through. There's hearings, at least back there when I signed on, you had to have hearings with other transportation companies. If they were against you moving into the area, they could say no, and the motor carrier services would actually consider that and may not give you your operating permit because of that. So there's a lot of hoops you had to jump through in order to get your operating authority. Okay, so I have an operating authority for a contract passenger. But anyway, so you have to have for hire tags, and you can only get those if you have an operating authority. Just go to DMV, tell them you want to switch to for hire tags. They look it up on the system. You have an operating authority, and so they'll go ahead and provide you with the for hire tags and, of course, commercial insurance. Now, once you have all of that, you can apply for Uber Black. Now, there's pros and cons to Uber Black, at least perceived pros. So I want you to listen to this carefully because I don't want you to fall into this to this pitfall. Okay. Now, when you sign on to Uber Black, you have to have, as I said, those three requirements. You have to have the type of vehicle, which would be some type of updated, either SUV or luxury SUV or luxury sedan, like within 5 years, something like that. And it's got to be in immaculate condition. I mean, you want to have it that way anyway. You have to have, again, your commercial insurance, and you have to have your operating authority. Now, people can operate if they lease a vehicle from you and they operate under your operating authority, then they too can also drive. But that's a fleet service, and you have to go to Uber for that as well. So there's a lot of hoops you got to jump through. Now, one important thing about DC, there's one more requirement you have to have, and be prepared to pay for it, otherwise stay home. And that is the fact that you have to have what's called a non-district driving permit. Now, I'm registered in Virginia, so I'm not registered in the district, but the district wants their pound of flesh. So the Uber makes a deal with DC that you have to have this non-district driver's permit. It's $650 for each vehicle for 1 year, $1,000 for 2 years. So not only you have to have your commercial insurance, you have to have your operating authority, you have to have the right vehicle, but then be prepared, if you're working in the Washington, D.C. area, to have that non-district limo permit as well. Okay, so those are the things. Now, I've been driving Uber Black, let's say, for about a week or so, and I've been a little bit disappointed. Now, granted, it is a learning curve, so you have to know where to go, when to go, what type of clientele that you're looking for, and what have you. So sort of a learning process. Of course, if you talk to some of the other Uber Black drivers, they may or may not be able to help you out. They may or may not willing to help you out because they figure you might encroach on their business. So, whatever it is. If anybody came to me and I had some information, I'd certainly give it to them. But there's some people that may not feel the same way. But anyway, you sort of learn as you go. Now, as far as the return on investment, I haven't seen it yet. I've been very disappointed. Now, I own a transportation company, so I make some pretty good money that way on my own anyway. I just got into Uber Black so I can sort of fill in the gaps. So when I give my drivers something to do, or I have something I have to do, drive people to the airport, in between one airport run and the other, I'll go out into DC and I'll do a little bit of Ubering around and what have you. That's another issue as well. What setting do you put it on? So I tried various settings. I tried comfort setting. I tried XL, XXL. I tried black only and SUV black. I even put on the hourly one as well. I gotta say that if you're putting on Uber Black in DC and you're not in the right areas, and who knows what the right areas are, you're not gonna get a lot of calls. So you'll probably wind up doing a lot of comfort rides and a lot of Uber X if you have like a SUV, Uber X, Uber XXL. You'll probably do a lot of those. Which you really don't need Uber Black in order to do that. You can do that with any properly sized vehicle. I made a lot more money initially in the last several months just driving Uber XXL and XL than I ever did with Uber Black. So that's something to consider. Now, so in case you're thinking about going into Uber Black, remember you have to have a transportation company. If your transportation company is doing great, like mine is doing pretty good, I still like to fill in the gaps anyway because I'm a hustler. So, and also I want to give my drivers an opportunity to make a little bit extra money as well. So that's why I signed up with Uber Black. Again, I haven't seen the return on the investment. It may come. So if anybody has any hints, who is an Uber Black driver, experienced, been around for a while, hey, throw it in the comments. I'd appreciate that. We all got to help each other. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention to you is that there's a way to do Black service without doing Uber Black. Matter of fact, without even having an operating authority. As a matter of fact, without having commercial insurance, and without having to go through the non-district limo permit. And that is with Lyft. Now, when I first got my Cadillac Escalade, and that's the one I'm driving right now, I had to wait a month for my tags because the dealership, it takes about a month for it to hit DMV before you can request for your tags. So I was driving it on private tags, private insurance, private tags. Didn't put it under my fleet yet, and I was able to drive with Lyft. Now keep in mind, in the Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, once you put for hire tags on your car, or if you have for hire tags, you cannot operate on the Lyft platform. A lot of people don't know that. But the benefit of it is this. You can, if you have the proper vehicle, like one that you would use for Uber Black, and you put it on the Lyft platform, and you don't have for hire tags, it's just a regular vehicle, they'll put you on Lyft Black. Now, I was doing a comparison on the prices as far as what Uber Black charges and what Lyft Black charges. Same thing. They run on the same pay scale. If I had a chance to do it all over again, and I didn't own a transportation company already, because I had to get for hire tags on the vehicle anyway. If I didn't own a transportation company already, and I just had a regular vehicle and happened to be a luxury vehicle, I'd go with Lyft. Because going with Uber Black, there's no guarantee. Well, there's no guarantee with either one of them. But at least all that overhead and all those requirements you won't experience with Lyft. And even, as I said, if you don't have a transportation company, you don't have an operating authority or limo license, whatever they call it, in other areas, you're still able to operate on the Black platform. So that's just a little bit of information a lot of people don't know. Again, if you have any questions, put in the comments. If you have any suggestions for me as a new Uber Black driver, please put in the comments as well. But once you put your vehicle for hire, or you put Uber hire, your vehicle for hire in the Uber Black platform, it limits you because you can't do Lyft anymore. And I really haven't seen a whole lot of black rides. As I said, maybe I'm not in the right area. But I'm learning. So that's a little bit of information for you guys. Sorry it's a little bit lengthy, but these are the things I've experienced in the last month or so, going into, because I've been looking forward to doing Uber Black for a while, but I didn't know all the obstacles and of course the downsides to it. Good enough. Thanks a lot, and I'll come back at you another day. Sorry for the lighting. I'm in my car. It's about 5 o'clock in the morning, and I don't have a lot of good lighting. Hopefully I'll do that. I'll make a change on that another day. Thanks a lot. Have a good day. Bye.